Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together, run by two living things. But this week we were talking about living and non-living things on our space science, or trying to understand what is living and non-living. Ariel, we did a lot of fun books this week.
Yes, we did.
We talked about living and non-living things. We talked about aliens.
So the idea this week was to talk about living and non-living things in some of Earth's systems. Mm-hmm. We're trying to understand that because we want to think about how we're going to sustain life in space, how we're going to sustain the lives of our astronauts in space. Absolutely. And so that's what this whole couple of weeks is meant to convey. So let's start with the living and non-living things book.
The living and non-living.
Yeah, let's start with that one.
Yeah.
So this is a really easy, fun one. Great for a kinder level or first grade level.
Early reader as well. It's great to read.
Right. So this is just kind of going, what's a living and non-living thing? We were encouraged to take a nature walk this week and pick things that were living and non-living.
This book was really good in the sense that it really brought into question for the girls kind of what is the definition of a living thing and what is the definition of non-living thing, and how those definitions can change based on, what is the object, like, things that change. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, mountains change over time. Are they a living thing? Like, it was a really good thought process. They really were able to go, oh yeah, that's right. It was a good way to challenge their thinking and start to think a little bit critically about, what is the definitions of words in some respects. So this was really cool. I really like this one.
So we started talking about Earth systems and things.
Mother Earth, living thing.
Yeah, these Stacey McNulty books are fantastic.
Actually, our oldest read this one to our youngest.
Yeah, it's just a really cute overview book about Earth. This is about the formation of Earth. So we might pull this one back in. We're going to get back into studying Earth when we study the rest of the planets. Yeah. Might pull this book back just as a reminder as we're studying other planets and how Earth is, similar and different in different ways.
Absolutely.
So we did that one.
And then our planet, there's no place like Earth.
Yep. So this is another one by the same author.
There's a whole series of these books as well, right?
Yeah, I think she's done one on every planet, maybe. Yeah, Stacey McNulty. So these are great. This is a great kind of intro book to our planet.
Really fun little artwork, simple reading.
So these are books that we added. These weren't part of the curriculum, but we really liked those.
And we also talked about the life cycles.
This is a DK book. So this is life cycles of all different animals and different things. But specifically,
we talked about two very specific cycles. First one would be the water cycle.
Right.
This was very easy to explain. Both my daughters got it. And it was fairly straightforward. Then we went into the, let's see if I got it here, the carbon cycle. This one was a little bit more complex. It was a little difficult for the youngest to wrap her head around it, but the oldest was like, okay, I think I understand what's going on here, but this is a little bit more challenging. The water is something I think they can easily understand. Carbon, in some respect, is a little bit more abstract term, kind of what makes up living things and how that relates to that cycle.
But this is a great book, especially it covers so many different animals.
Yeah, so this would be like for birds and nesting.
Yeah, this is just a great book.
Yeah,
so I think it's a great reference book to get.
Yep.
We might come back to this one, but definitely maybe we'll only do it this week. I don't know. Just wanted them to understand some of Earth's systems so they can think about what things they would need to sustain themselves in space.
Well, and since we're talking to Zula, we might as well learn a little bit about aliens. It's a really great book. We're only about a chapter or so in. We're going to keep kind of nibbling away at this book, but it's a great question. Where are the aliens?
So this is written by the same author that wrote our two Earth books. Yep. This one is really for our oldest. It's not for our younger daughter. So our 9.5-year-old is this. You're reading
really
this
just
with
a
her.
Chapter, and some of the pages have some graphics on them and whatnot, and a little bit something to take a look at. There's some let's see if I find a decent example of that. Yeah, you're right. There's some graphics and whatnot, but it's a book to read.
So this is more about the scientific study for life on other planets.
Yeah, the big question here: where are the aliens? Fermi asked this question, part of the initial calculation of how many potential planets are there? I think early Drake equation type of stuff. And so it was really cool. And I was reading it to both my girls, and they were asking questions along the way. I was like, I did not think my youngest was going to be paying attention as much.
Yeah, she was just coloring through this. She was coloring a picture of Earth.
I found reading this book and taking a break every few paragraphs and asking some questions about what we just read really helped keep them engaged and asking them what they thought. Like, well, where do you think they are? Well, which theory do you follow? Dark forest theory. Our three-body people will enjoy that one. Maybe a book for later.
But this was definitely this is a pretty technical book.
Yeah, but it didn't come. You're right. There were some technical aspects.
I've
here.
looked ahead, and there's some equisions and things in there that are definitely going to be a little bit.
The first chapter seemed to be fairly straightforward, so we'll hold off on our recommendation until the very end. But so far in the first chapter, it was really cool. Both girls got it. I had to prune a little bit at the end. It got a little too in depth on what it was, so I just kind of skipped a couple pages here and there. But it was really good. I thought it was really good. I liked it.
I think this may be more of kind of a middle school level, but we have an interest in, we're watching all these different movies about aliens and stuff, and I thought, well, this is cool because it's a scientific look at it, not the guy that you see on Ancient Aliens, that clip with the hair. This is more of a like a scientist's perspective on where would aliens be and what would it take to sustain life on other planets and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a good addition, we'll see how it goes in the coming weeks. The plan is I think there's 13 chapters of this. The plan is just to read a chapter each week until we're at the end of the study. So it's going to be kind of a slow burn for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Could it be aliens? It could be.
Could be it.
No, show out the hair.
So the last thing we did...
We did some dioramas.
Yeah, our kids did these poster boards. They had to choose an animal, and I gave them a couple of our reference books about animals, and they had to indicate all about where they would live, what they would eat, what else they need in their habitat, stuff. So our older daughter did red pandas, and she had to write all about what they ate and what their shelter was like. And our younger daughter did a puppy.
Did a cow puppy?
Yeah, the cow puppy, and she just got to draw what the puppy needed.
She spelled a couple words.
Yes, and there's puppy food, and it has a dog house and everything. So
a little bit more detail on the side.
Yeah, so you can go as much art as you want, but these were fun, and it was cool for them to do a little bit of research and find out what do these animals actually need. So which was neat.
We also had a couple movies. There was a car movie this week, so I didn't watch it.
You heard the giggling.
But I heard the endless giggling, and that would be the Muppets from space.
Muppets from space.
Not Muppets in space. I don't know if that one's an actual episode. It should be. But it's the Muppets from space. And they were laughing. They loved it.
So we wanted to pick a couple. We've got a couple of just like kid movies. Sometimes driving around in the minivan, or the kids are asking for a little bit of extra TV time.
Like right now, they're just burning through the Animaniacs season 1 right now.
But sometimes the kids ask for a little bit of extra TV time, but we don't want to sit with them. So I have like Space Buddies on my list.
Dogs in space.
Golden Retrievers in space. Why not? Why not? I have a couple of things on my list that are not movies that we're going to watch, but that they definitely will probably enjoy, and they're space themed. But movies we all watched together as a family this week. We watched WALL-E, which was great because it incorporates space and also about Earth and caring for our planet and resources and everything. It's a fantastic movie, so we watched that on Disney+. And then continuing with that theme of caring for our planet, we watched The Lorax, which is a really terrific movie and has great music. The kids really enjoyed that, and it's also about caring for our natural resources. Absolutely. So those were great movies that we watched.
And then we watched Interstellar.
Yes, and we watched Interstellar, which was just...
And we realized how much Matthew McConaughey is either sweating or crying in that movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of sweating.
A lot of sweating.
But really terrific. I hadn't seen it in quite a long time, and it also kind of has that, the Earth is dying, there's a plague kind of thing, and he has to go to the stars. So
if you find that
movie, a theme.
Yeah, if you found that movie to be kind of challenging to the technical aspects, kind of the time dilation, black hole type of thing, there's a novelization of that book meant for adults that helps to explain it a lot better. I read that, and I have a very narrow shelf, my shelf of keeper books that I read and they stay with. Interstellar's novelization is a wonderful science fiction book. If you have a chance to read it, get a hold of it at the library or whatnot, and you want to do it as a read, absolutely fantastic. And it helps explain a lot of what was happening, and that was more subtly told through the story, through Nolan's storytelling. The novelization is a wonderful book. I can't recommend that high enough. I really liked it. I loved reading that.
So right now I'm reading a book called The Apollo Murders. I actually did start it during last week, and I forgot to mention it. And it's a book about the Apollo 18 mission. and there's some mystery going on. I'm only about 20% of the way in. It's been very interesting so far, and it's a historical fiction, so there's lots of real things that are mixed in. So I'm actually learning quite a lot through this obviously fictional story. Jury is out yet on that, but I am still working my way through that, and I'll let you know how it is when
You can watch the B-flick horror movie Apollo 18 when they went to the moon. They couldn't admit to it. Aliens there.
No. You just want to watch all the alien movies. The scary alien movies is all he wants to watch.
Just not going to watch The Fourth Kind, and I'll be okay.
Oh, so yes, you make you watch that one.
Oh, I know. That'd be terrifying. I'll have to sleep.
So this was our second full week of space science.
It's great how we're able to pack so much in, but it doesn't feel like we're rushing. Yeah. It just feels like we're enjoying the experience. I mean, sometimes when you're doing like the around the world stuff, it feels like there's a lot to read, there's a lot to watch, there's chapter books. Even though you compressed the curriculum, it does not feel like we're rushing. It just feels like, hey, let's read a couple more books, let's talk about some more stuff. It just feels like we're talking science and rockets and Earth and space and Zula and all these great movies and stuff. And I really just feel like the girls are just getting a real science fiction fix right now. And it's been really enjoyable. Yeah, so you've done a great job with this kind of compressing of the curriculum.
Yeah, I think it's been really fun so far. Next week we're going to go on and start talking about
a 5-star review on your planning.
Yeah, spacecraft and food in space. I know the girls are going to be fascinated by all the space systems and the food they eat and all that stuff. So that's what we've got coming up for us next week. So check in with us then, and we'll tell you how it all went.